Got a lot to say in this one, so we're just gonna dive in. Obviously, my religion or my exegesis or my worldview is a compendium of all the things I've gathered throughout my life. And as you see from the title of this video, this is basically my, I guess maybe this will be in parts, but I'm gonna try to make this one video my worldview of life and death and religion. So I was raised pretty Christian. I went to several different Christian churches, but the mainest one that I learned most of my stuff from was a Hebrew Pentecostal church. So it was pretty involved. They did the whole speaking in tongues, the Holy Spirit thing. We went to church basically like the entire day. We went Friday night, and then Saturday the whole day. So like the entire day was devoted to spirituality. It wasn't just like a 2-hour sermon and then we go home. It was a very integral experience to my spirituality, which I feel like really I explored various levels of Christianity because obviously I wanted to dive deeply. I started going to a more conservative Baptist church as I got older, and I really wanted to be like a minister. I studied the Bible like insanity at my old church, and I really wanted to take it somewhere, like it was really my calling, or so I thought. I wasn't just like a vacation Bible school nerd. Like I was like one of the guys helping run the vacation Bible school. My first girlfriend ever was literally a Sunday school teacher. So that really, I feel like, set me up to when I first started to dive into the occult, I guess you could call it. I had really experienced the fringe edges of Christianity already. I was already, really looking for more. I always had like some kind of sensitivity in my bones. And I always felt called to shamanism, but I never really knew what that was. And then I discovered paganism and plant medicine, and that just really resonated with me. And I've been on that path for 20 years, almost 20 years now. And also, on top of all that spirituality, science is a big part of my spiritual understanding. Everything that I believe stands on a scientific background and understanding. I don't just believe anything just because. Everything that I believe still has to go through a filter of skepticism. I'm very skeptical about everything that I learn. While being open-minded, I am very guarded about what I allow myself to believe or devote my time to. That being said, I explored a lot of different paths. As a pagan person, I explored many different religions. Like I said, I started with Christianity, but as a pagan, I discovered many different worldviews. My main personal worldview is Celtic and Vedic. That is to say, most of my gods and goddesses are from the Vedic and Celtic tradition. But I believe in all kinds of entities to all kinds of varying degrees, and that's definitely its own video. But I've also studied many different schools of philosophy, and one of the schools of philosophy I studied also is absurdism. I took into account, when I was, learning everything, I took into account different schools of philosophy as well as atheism and agnosticism, since I was kind of unsure about Christianity, which is what led me to explore other religions. And I also even dabbled a little bit in Satanism and literal Satan worship, although I don't do that now. I do talk about being a dark witch, or that my goddesses are dark. I feel like I'm on a gray path, but none of that's super pertinent to this video. All of this is to say that I've also studied absurdism and not trying to give you a philosophy course. Like I said, this video is already probably going to be a lot longer than most of my other videos. But absurdism is basically the philosophy, that the idea that we have plans and goals and a desire for what we want in the universe comes directly up against the idea that the universe really doesn't care or is indifferent or unfeeling toward what our goals are, and really the universe is set up to thwart them. And in that respect, like, I feel like it's a thing for me in my personal path. I've devoted so much of my time and energy to healing and growth and understanding all these things that I feel like my life should be better than it is now. And I'm sure a lot of people feel that way depending on, where they're at. But for me, it's and this is kind of like, I guess, a response to, or some kind of justification for how very dark my content has been. But it's that I have recently arrived at this point of view that everyone is giving me kind of a pushback for. But this point of view that I've arrived at is just me being honest with what I believe at this point about stuff, or what I'm not sure exactly what I believe about stuff and such at this point. At some point a few years ago, I decided to live a fully intuitive life, completely devoted to the gods and goddesses. Me and my now ex, we started a coven even. And the members of the coven named us the high priest and priestess. We didn't give that to ourselves, but just to give you an idea of how devout we were. And I started to live this path, and everything I did was spiritual. It wasn't just, the side thing. It wasn't just, and I don't know how to describe that. I was always pretty spiritual most of my life, but I took it from just being a spiritual human to like being a full-on Skyrim character completely in my real life. And despite all that, it's like my life didn't turn out the way I wanted it to, and I question whether or not like I even really actually had a choice when I look back on it. I mean, a lot of people look back on their choices and they have regrets and stuff, but when I look back on my life, I feel like with the information I had then, I would have made the same choices. It kind of feels like the whole like the butterfly effect deal, where even with the knowledge that I had, I wasn't able to make anything better. Kind of like with Anakin Skywalker or Judas. It kind of feels like the universe just needed a bad guy. And how responsible are you for like your own, how you are as a human being on the inside? When me and my ex broke up, this is like the pivotal thing. We were both living this very intuitive spiritual life together, and when she broke up with me and she found someone immediately, I didn't take that as a horrible thing. I wasn't happy about it, obviously, and I spoke on this in my first video, but I was actually really excited to, like, because she found someone, it kind of told me, like, to me that was a signal from the universe that I was destined to find someone even better than her, and that my person was right around the corner. And it's been a very long time. Like, I've had that philosophy for the first few years. It took me a long time to reach this point of like, maybe I'm old and unwanted now. Like, I didn't like start off the gate feeling that way. Like I said in my first video ever, like when I first went through my breakup, I had a beautiful house and I just couldn't wait to meet my person, and I was like as positive as you could possibly be for someone who had just lost everything. And it really feels like Encanto. And if you haven't seen that already, sorry, I'm about to spoil it for you, so like click off now or click past this part, but it really feels like Encanto where Mirabelle, the main character, she basically gets to watch all these people open their magic door and get their magic gift. But she doesn't get to get hers. She's like the only person who hasn't had the magic door with the magic gift. And it's incredibly painful to her, as much as she, tries to show up for everyone, and she does show up for everyone, and she's happy for everyone. That's the thing, like, I genuinely do my best to show up for everyone in their lives and celebrate the things that people have happening in their lives, but nothing has happened in my life for so long that it has caused me to start to lose hope. Even though that's like one of the main things is the creation of this page was kind of like my affirmation against losing hope and doing something that, I felt like was transmuting my energy. But as soon as I got all that invigoration to start the page and run the page, I lost my job and have to deal with all this personal shit. So yeah, like, it's the thing. I've devoted my entire life to spirituality, and I just now, in the last year of my life, found a group who, like I was talking about all these churches, but all my churches rejected me once I started getting into plant medicine and obviously being a witch. I just now found a group that I can practice my spirituality with in earnest and not feel like an outcast. It took a long time. And that gives me a little bit of hope. Creating this page was like my pushback against my already like super destroyed heart, and it's a thing of trying to explain my truth to other people, that I've done all this work on myself for my whole life. My mother-in-law, she got me to watch this Tony Robbins video recently, and I'm trying to explain to her that my entire world and reality is literally nothing but self-help literature and videos. Like, it's literally what I got on here to create, but instead I'm, I guess, exposing the authenticity of what I'm actually going through as I'm trying to do these manifestations. Because I haven't lost faith yet. If I lost faith, I wouldn't be here. But I am burnt out, like, as an orphan, as a person with no parents, no family connections really. All I ever wanted in my life is for someone to connect with, and for, people, for their advice to be, well, you need to stop wanting that. For one, you don't know my life and my destiny and what I know what I truly desire and what, I'm not saying like a relationship will fix everything, because that's the other thing I have to continuously hear from people. It's not like, no, I know a relationship won't fix everything. That's why I'm also trying to start a business and work and get my finances under control as well. But as far as being lonely and, just being a broken-hearted person, knowing that, the person I loved is living happily ever after, there's someone I love now who they're completely unavailable. That hurts. And it's a whole thing that, like, for example, I can't even get quietness in this room to try to, and it's like midnight. My living situation sucks. Like, I have no one to, like, I don't know. I feel like I have no one to cry to, no one to talk to about all this stuff, no one to celebrate anything with. I've sat in isolation for 4 years now. And yeah, all that's bad, but on top of that, I have such, like I said, this rich spiritual faith, like, I know for sure I have literally, done work on the other side, and I've met my spirit guides and ancestors and my angels and gods and goddesses, and like, I know for a fact that world, that universe is somewhere where I am welcome and I am seen for who I am, and I can express myself how I want to express myself. I don't have to be lonely and, misunderstood and called weird names. I don't have to do 90,000 interviews and just continuously be rejected by women. Like, just sit in a shitty apartment with roaches. Like, I mean, and I practice gratitude, but I'm saying, like, and like, if you watch my other videos, if you really care about what I'm talking about, just watch my other videos, mainly the last one, the manifesto video. Really gets into how it's just a thing of, no matter what I do, like, I can, pretend I'm okay for a while and maybe actually be okay, but the truth is, the one thing I've always wanted, or the only thing I've ever wanted, the only reason that I have to live, is something that I don't get to have. And so, yeah, of course I'd prefer to be not alive. And I don't know, that's my whole conclusion, I guess, on life and death and spirituality. Even if death is just, I get to go to sleep and stop doing this, or if it's heaven where I get to go and do something beautiful after, anything is better than just suffering alone in silence and being completely invisible. Anyway, as always, thanks for watching and stay mindful. Love you.